In the summer of 1942, the Pacific Ocean burned with war. Just 6 months after the devastating attack on Pearl Harbor, the fate of the entire Pacific hung in the balance. Japan's empire stretched from the Asian mainland to the far reaches of the Pacific Islands. Its navy was unmatched, its pilots seasoned by years of conquest, and its morale unshaken. But far to the east, across the vast expanse of ocean, a battered America prepared to fight back. The stage was set for one of the most dramatic naval battles in human history, a battle that would change the course of World War II forever. This is the story of the Battle of Midway. December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. The Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor had crippled the U.S. Pacific Fleet. 8 battleships lay destroyed or damaged. Thousands of sailors were dead or wounded. For the American people, it was a moment of shock, anger, and awakening. The Japanese, confident and determined, believed they had secured dominance over the Pacific. But they underestimated one thing: the resolve of the American people. In the aftermath, Admiral Chester W. Nimitz took command of the U.S. Pacific Fleet. He faced an impossible task: to rebuild a navy shattered by surprise. But Nimitz was calm, brilliant, and patient. He knew that wars are not won by emotion, but by strategy. And strategy would soon become his greatest weapon. In Tokyo, the architects of Japan's war machines celebrated their victories. They had conquered Singapore, the Philippines, Malaya, and the Dutch East Indies. Now, Admiral Izuruko Yamamoto, commander of the Imperial Japanese Navy, set his sights on one final blow, a strike that would eliminate the remaining American carriers and force the U.S. to negotiate peace. His target? Midway Atoll, a small, isolated patch of coral in the middle of the Pacific, but strategically a vital point between Japan and Hawaii. If Midway fell, Japan could threaten the U.S. mainland itself. Yamamoto's plan was bold. He would lure the U.S. fleet into a trap, destroy its carriers, and secure Japan's dominance for generations. But unknown to him, the Americans had a secret of their own. In a quiet, nondescript building in Hawaii, a group of young cryptanalysts worked tirelessly. They were part of the U.S. Navy's code-breaking unit, known as Station Hypo. Their leader, Commander Joseph Rochefort, was eccentric but brilliant. His team had been intercepting and decoding Japanese naval communications for months. Piece by piece, they began to uncover a secret message. Japan was planning a major operation at a location they called AF. But what was AF? Rochefort had an idea. He instructed the U.S. base at Midway to send a fake message that their water supply system was broken. Within hours, Japanese transmissions reported that AF is short on water. The ruse had worked. AF was confirmed to be Midway. Now, for the first time, America knew exactly where and when Japan would streak. It was the first glimmer of hope in a dark war. Armed with this knowledge, Admiral Chester W. Nimitz devised a daring plan. He would not wait to be attacked. He would ambush the ambushers. 3 American aircraft carriers, USS Hornet, USS Enterprise, and the hastily repaired USS Yorktown, were ordered to take positions northeast of Midway.
On June 3, 1942, the silent chess match began. At dawn on June 4th, Japanese planes roared toward Midway. Bombs fell like thunder on the small island. The U.S. airfields burned, but the defenders refused to yield. Meanwhile, far out to sea, American scout planes searched desperately for the Japanese fleet. At 7:28 a.m., one pilot spotted them. Many ships, carriers sighted. The message raced through American command. The trap was set. From the decks of the Enterprise and Hornet, waves of American bombers took off. Dauntless dive bombers, torpedo planes, and fighters. Many never returned. The torpedo squadrons attacked first, flying low and slow against superior Japanese Zero fighters. They were slaughtered. nearly every man killed. But their sacrifice was not in vain, because at that very moment, high above the clouds, another group of American planes was diving straight toward destiny. The Japanese carriers, Akagi, Kaga, Soryu, and Hiryu, were in chaos. They had just recovered their attack planes from Midway and were preparing a second wave. Their decks were crowded with armed bombs and fueled aircraft, taking time bombs waiting to ignite. At 10:20 a.m., the sky split open. American dive bombers from the Enterprise in Yorktown appeared out of the sun. Within minutes, 3 Japanese carriers were engulfed in flames. Explosions ripped through their decks, sending black smoke billowing into the heavens. Sailors dove into the sea as the ships burned to the waterline. The invincible Japanese fleet was collapsing before their eyes. Only one carrier remained, Hiryu. She launched a desperate counterattack, scoring hits on the Yorktown and crippling her. But by nightfall, American bombers found Hiryu too. She joined her sisters beneath the waves. The Battle of Midway was over. In just one day, Japan had lost 4 of its best carriers, over 250 aircraft and hundreds of elite pilots, men who could never be replaced. For America, the losses were painful but bearable. The Yorktown was gone, but the tide of war had turned. Midway was not just a victory of weapons, but of intelligence, courage, and sacrifice. It was a proof that even in the darkest hour, the will to fight and to outthink the enemy can change the fate of nations. Historians often call Midway the turning point of the Pacific War. From that moment on, Japan would never again take the offensive. Slowly, island by island, America would push across the Pacific, toward Guam, the Philippines, Iwo Jima, and finally, Hiroshima. But none of it would have been possible without the victory at Midway. Behind every explosion, every maneuver, and every death, there was a story of human courage, of young men who flew into fire, of codebreakers who outsmarted an empire, and of commanders who refused to surrender hope. The Battle of Midway was more than a clash of ships and planes. It was a test of resilience, a triumph of intelligence, and a symbol of America's unbreakable spirit. In just 4 days, the course of the Pacific War and the future of the world was rewritten. And though the ocean has long since swallowed the wrecks, the echoes of that battle still whisper beneath the waves. They remind us that freedom, once threatened, can only survive when courage takes the helm. This was the Battle of Midway, the turning point of the Pacific War. Witness the courage, remember the cost, honor the heroes.